I am the Associate Administrator at Hickory Trail Hospital. I'm also a licensed professional counselor supervisor. And so we're going to do the whole CEU thing. I'll tell you what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, just so we can have the technical stuff out the way. So we're going to talk about self-care in the workplace. And so we're going to talk about what self-care is, what it's not, and how we can go a little bit deeper than just the surface level self-care that we all kind of know about, right? So that's what we're going to do today. First, we're going to play a little game. Go for me. Everybody, put a finger up. Put your hands up. Okay? Now, put a finger down if there are never enough hours in the day. Put a finger down if you take work home with you. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Put a finger down if you're concerned about your students even outside of the school day. Put a finger down if you're pulled in many different directions throughout the day. Put a finger down if you're frequently eating at your desk. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Right, that's what I said. There's other places to eat. Okay, put your other hand down. I only meant to put on 5. So if you had 5 fingers up, how many people still have fingers up? Just the 5. Put your other hands down. Just one. Everybody has their fingers down, right? You have one finger down, one finger still up. Which one was not one that you do? Good job. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. That is amazing. You are goals. I'm going to be like you one day. Okay. So we do all of these things as counselors, whether we're school counselors, community counselors, or even myself. I'm in leadership at a hospital and I still do all of these things, right? I'm concerned about my patients and my staff, even when I'm at home. I'm thinking about them. What do I need to do next for them, right? I definitely take work home with me every day, all day, even on the weekends, right? And so what these things kind of do to us is they kind of cause, go ahead, Lindy. They cause us 3 things. They cause us burnout, they cause us compassion fatigue, and they definitely cause us vicarious trauma, especially when we are dealing with people who have trauma all day or some type of even stress, just anything going on throughout their day. We take that vicarious trauma home with us when we do all of those things and we have no fingers left up, right? Go ahead. Okay. So when we go through those 3 things, it creates kind of a cycle for us, right? So we start out being physically tired. Like your body is just like, girl, sit down, right? Or then we get emotionally tired and then we get cognitively tired. Now our brain is shutting down and we can't even think, right, about what we need to do next. What does that lead to? Okay. So if stress is never ending, the stress of work, the stress of being a therapist, the stress of doing right by our students and our patients is never ending, it's a sign that you are burnt out. Okay. 50% of those who work in education, that includes you guys, right, experience burnout at least one time. Some of y'all are like multiple times, like weekly. That's like the normalcy. 75% of social workers and counselors also experience burnout, right? So you guys got a double whammy. You're in school and you're counselors. So you get both. You're about 100 and something percent getting burnout, right? Burnout begins with the best of intentions. So we come to work every day with the best of intentions. Like we're going to do the best for our students. We're all altruistic. We want to help people. We come here with the best of intentions, but that's how burnout begins. Okay. So burnout is defined as the residual emotions as a result of exposure of working with those with traumatic events. That can be emotional, mental, and cognitive as well. Okay. So what we don't understand about ourselves, though, is that we're also probably going through some type of trauma, right? We don't even recognize it. It's those little things that add up that create that trauma, mainly that vicarious trauma. But hey, we're human too. So we're also dealing with things in our outside life that are not professional that can create trauma for us as well. Trauma is probably the most avoided, ignored, belittled, denied, misunderstood, and untreated cause of human suffering. And if you're also working with people with trauma and you also have trauma, yeah, you're more likely to be burnt out and have that compassion fatigue. Okay. What we want to understand about ourselves as counselors is that traumatic events are subjective. So who loses their keys in the morning sometimes? Who forgets their lunch at home? When it rains, your car breaks down. That could be a trauma to you. right? If I lose my keys, the day is already started bad, right? I'm gonna have trying to catch up, figuring out what I'm gonna do next, right? So that is a traumatic event. It doesn't have to be this huge, complex thing that's going on to be considered a trauma. And it can just be a single event, a recurring trauma, complex, historical, and there's the one that we deal with, that vicarious trauma down there at the end. Go ahead. Okay. So when we deal with this trauma, we have some common stress responses that we kind of go to, right? So we either fight, and that can be irritability, anger, aggression, disagreeable. You don't have to look at me if this is you. We have flight, right? We may be chronic worry, perfectionism. I'll put 2 hands up there. Avoiding things or overworking. Those of us that take our work home, right? We might freeze. That causes us to feel stuck, procrastinate, dissociate, have inaction or shame. And then we might fawn. That is people pleasing, conflict avoidance, not saying no, not setting boundaries. Again, you don't have to look at me. Go ahead. Okay. So what's the solution? What is the solution to all of this, right? We scream, self-care. And we like, yeah, right. Okay. It's got kind of become like this trendy thing that we see all over the place, this self-care. What are some of the things that you guys do now for self-care? Anybody can answer. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. What else? Book clubs. Okay. What else? Family. Yep. Take walks. Awesome. Work out. You work out for self-care? That gives me more anxiety. What else? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So self-care are those activities and practices we use to promote physical, mental, and emotional health, right? But it's become kind of trendy for us. So we see it on TikTok every day. Just increase your self-care and everything will be fine. No. Okay. Regular self-care can reduce stress and prevent burnout. That's what they tell us. It can also improve mental health outcomes. That's what they tell us as well. But what is meant to help has become, unfortunately, a trend, and we don't even have the time for it, right? So what are some other misconceptions about self-care that you've heard about? We don't have time. What else?
It costs money.
It costs money. Yep. What else? Yeah, you still gotta meet your expectations, right? So you gotta fit it into the schedule somewhere, right? Go to the next slide. It'll tell you all of them. Okay. Can only be done on the weekends, right? Because during the week, we working. We ain't got time for self-care, or we gotta wait till the weekends to do all that, right? It has to be earned. Like when you put in your 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours, then you can have self-care, right? It takes a lot of planning, a lot of money. It's expensive and it's selfish. These are some of the misconceptions that we hear about self-care. Okay. So let's talk about what is true self-care and how we can actually obtain it, right? Okay. When we think about the word care, so the first thing we have to do is figure out what the definition of care is, right? So a lot of the things that we talked about that we currently do for self-care, those are really things that are self-maintenance, right? Self-maintenance. So I'm going to go get my nails done regularly. That's just a maintenance thing. I'm getting my hair done. I'm going to go for a walk. I might work out 1 or 2 times. Okay. So I'm going to do these in a year, exactly, 365 days. Those are the things that I'm going to do to maintain myself as just a human being, right? But am I really caring for myself? So we often confuse self-care with self-maintenance, right? So in order to understand self-care, we got to figure out what the definition of care is, right? So definition of care is serious attention or consideration, feeling of concern or interest, and the preservation of what is necessary for health, welfare, and protection. And that goes above and beyond just what maintenance is, right? Above and beyond what maintenance is. So you have some papers in front of you. This is going to be your self-care map. And by the end of this presentation, you're going to have a whole map for yourself. So you can go ahead and start out by, at the top, you can write about kind of what are my triggers or what are my warning signs that I'm getting burnt out. What are my triggers and my warning signs that I'm getting burnt out? Because this is when you know you need to activate this preservation, this consideration, and this feeling of concern. We're going to change the language to self-regard, self-consideration, and self-preservation. That's what true self-care is. It means that I'm regarding myself, I'm considering myself, and I'm preserving myself. Okay? These are new words that you can use for self-care. So when you start thinking about your self-care strategies, think about these instead, not just the trendy self-care that we all know about. Okay? So how can we bring these into the workplace? Because we sure can't bring a bubble bath in here. We can't bring the salon in here. So how can we bring these things into the workplace? Okay? So self-regard means to give special attention to or have concern for. Give special attention to or have concern for. And the first box on there talks about self-regard. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Okay? So self-regard at the workplace means recognizing your limits. Who's good at this? Let me put my hands behind my back. Recognizing your limits, knowing what you can do and what you can't do. Knowing what load you can take on and what load you can't take on, right? Also, don't skip your breaks. You know, look at me like, yeah, good luck. Your brain needs food. Okay, your brain needs food. Not just chips, not just a Starburst every once in a while. You need actual food for your brain, okay? So self-regard means recognizing your limits and not skipping your breaks. What are some other ways that we can think about self-regarding ourselves, having regard for ourselves? You can write them down on your paper as well. This is for you specifically. What are some ways that you can have regard for yourself in your workplace?
You're not feeling well for the day off.
That part. Don't come in here if you're sick, all right? And we tend to do that because we got to be here for our students. We got to be here for our clients. We got to be here for our patients.
I think like shutting the door and like, because we do a lot more than just seeing kids, which is what we want to do as kids.
Yeah.
But there's other parts of our job that we have to do as well. And sometimes I feel guilty shutting the door and giving myself that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Get you some alone time.
And home too.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it interesting that when we're in our personal life, we don't have problems with this? Well, when we're at work, we have issues with it. Yeah, if you close your door, maybe people will stop knocking on it every 5 minutes or walking in like, yeah, hello, I'm busy. Right. Not at all. Just over here typing a 12-page report, no problem. Come on in. Okay? So write down some personal ways that you are going to regard yourself going forward. Okay? We'll go to the next one. The next one is self-consideration. This is to give careful thought, usually over a period of time. So it's not just a one-time thing, right? So sometimes when we're as therapists, we do things and we're like, great, we did it one time, we're done with it, right? Over a period of time. So you got to consider yourself every day. Every single day you have to consider yourself, okay? Let's go to the next one. So how can we do this in the workplace? Set your day up for success, right? And that does start at home. Whatever routines that you put into place, whether that is meal prepping, whether that is working out, whether that is going to bed at a certain time, make sure you set your day up for success, okay? Consider what you're saying yes to. Consider what you are saying yes to. I want us all to practice something. No. 1, 2, 3. No. Put it into practice, okay? We have hard time, especially if you're a people pleaser, especially if you are trying to overly care, you have a hard time saying no. Okay, hard time saying no. So consider what you're saying yes to. Is it another project that you got to add on to your plate? Is it another 10 kids you got to add on to your load, right? Consider what you're saying yes to, right? And I'm not a school counselor, I'm a community counselor, so I'm not sure of all the ins and outs of what you guys do, but you know what you're taking on that you should say no to, right? You know what you should say no to. Okay. What are some other ways that we can consider ourselves? Let me go right. What are some other ways that we can consider ourselves throughout our day? I'm gonna pick on this table over here because y'all haven't said anything. So somebody over here tell me something. What ways can you guys consider yourselves? We're struggling with that answer. That's crazy.
I stopped itching text right away.
Okay.
They were copying a lot of being like,
Yeah. Yeah. So scheduling a time to answer text message. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if they're from work.
Going
Going home early. Amazing. Amazing. What about all those 1,000 emails that come throughout the day? Do we schedule time for those or do we have to answer those right away?
I don't have my email.
Yes. Yeah. Took off notifications for that. Yeah. That is a great way to consider yourself, right? Scheduling time for certain things. When you're going to answer somebody, we all have this thing in our mind that when we're at the workplace, like we have a 24-hour rule. We got to get in within 24 hours, right? And for some reason, when you are a people pleaser, for some reason, when you are a person that works hard, you try to beat that 24 hours, right? Instead of actually giving yourself that 24 hours. You're like, I'm going to read this in 2 hours and answer. No, right? We got to fix that, right? Give yourself the full 24 hours. It's fine, right? Okay, so write down some ways that you're going to consider yourself going forward and personally. And the last one is self-preservation. Okay, this is a really big one, right? How are you preserving yourself? If you want to be in this career for a long time, you're going to have to slow down and preserve yourself, right? Because there's a lot more kids to come through. There's a lot more parents to come through. And listen, I know the parents be the problem. I know, right? You gotta slow down. You gotta preserve yourself. Maintain yourself in your original state or the existing state. The other term is to keep yourself safe from harm or injury. That's mental injury. That's emotional injury as well, not just physical injury. Okay, we're not worried about the paper cuts you're gonna get. We worry about your heart and your mind. Okay, so keep yourself safe from harm or injury. How can we do this at work? I only got one. Practice boundaries. That's it. That's like a huge one. Practice your boundaries, right? Can you guys think of any others? Like this is like number one. Practice your boundaries.
No, I can't think of you.
That's the one. I think this sums it up, right? Practice your boundaries. And with practicing boundaries means not feeling guilty, which is that's the hard part, for having boundaries. Okay? For saying no. For saying I can't take this on right now, right? For saying I can't, right? As counselors, we feel like we're always supposed to be strong. We're supposed to show the strength to everybody and nobody's supposed to see our weakness. Bring that weakness on out. Go ahead and show it, right? Go ahead and show it so you can preserve yourself, okay? Practice your boundaries. Let's write down some other ways that we're going to preserve ourselves, even if it's just boundaries is really, really big in that square. Really, really big in that square. And then think about the ways that you're going to practice your boundaries. Right? Think about the ways that you're going to practice your boundary. Is it going to be saying no, which should become your new favorite word now? No. Okay. Is it saying you can't? Is it showing your weakness? Is it collaborating with others? Like, what are some ways that you're going to use your boundaries? Okay. Yeah. Hey, I understand. Because sometimes when we let people vent to us and they dump their stuff on us when we've already got stuff dumped on us, yeah, that's a good one too. Say no to venting sometimes, okay? So now we need to go even deeper than that, right? Deeper than self-regard, self-consideration, self-preservation. We've all heard of trauma-informed care, right? Yeah. So let's talk about trauma-informed self-care. It's a thing. Trauma-informed self-care is a thing. And we're going to use the same 6 principles of trauma-informed care: safety, trustworthiness and transparency, peer support, collaboration, empowerment, and humility. So we're going to use the same 6 principles from trauma-informed care to care for ourselves as well. Okay, so safety. Let's talk about, what does safety look like at work? Sometimes we don't even think about, do we need to be safe at work? What does safety look like at work? And that comes with the physical safety. If you feel physically safe, then you can think about being emotionally safe, right? But if you have somebody throwing a stool at you, you can't think about your emotional safety right now, right? And then you go up to your mental safety, right? Because we have those three levels of tired: physical, emotional, and cognitive. And it's the same thing with safety: physical, emotional, cognitive. Then you can be mentally safe as well. Okay, transparency. Transparency means knowing what you need and being able to be honest with yourself about that, right? Sometimes we're like, no, I'll be fine. I don't need that. I don't need to take a break. I'm good, right? But we just need to know what we need and be honest with ourselves, because if we can't be honest with ourselves, how can we be honest with anybody else about what we need, right? And with that comes being comfortable with talking to somebody. We're counselors. We got to practice what we preach now. right? We got to practice what we preach. We got to go see therapists if we need to. We need to have a buddy if we need to. We need to be able to talk to somebody about what we're going through, okay? And maintain clear communication, right? Have an open line of communication with whoever you need to have an open communication with, whatever the hierarchy is, right? So that you can say, I can't, even say, I won't. And that's a bold thing for work, right? I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing it, okay? Peer support, it seems like you guys have that good, right? It seems like you guys are very collaborative. So build a collaborative network that you can count on. But the big one is use it. Use it, because we'll sit there and suffer in silence and won't use our support system that we have built at work, right? We spend more of our time here than outside of work. So use your support system that you built at work, okay? Collaboration, be proactive, right? We know that we need to plan ahead. We know the people chew the hard thing first, eat the elephant first, right? And then do the rest later. So chew the elephant first. Engage in shared responsibility with students or clients. So one of the biggest things that we have to remember that they taught us in school as counselors is that it's the client's responsibility to do the healing. We just facilitate. But a lot of times we take on the responsibility to do the healing. And we're like, did I do good enough? I didn't help that kid. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. But it's their responsibility to do the healing, not ours. Okay, so that's one thing I remind myself of often when I'm seeing clients. And that's probably one of the first things we learned in school. We're the facilitators. They're the healers. Okay, empowerment, voice and choice. Recognize and lean into your strengths, right? Recognize and lean into your strengths and validate your efforts. We kind of talked about validation, how validation is important. Validation has to come first from you, then from the outside. Introspection first. Okay. And then humility and responsiveness, making sure you're advocating for yourself, recognizing how culture, whatever that may be for you, affects your daily work and impacts your potential for burnout. There are those of us that have a culture that are more attuned or more prone to burnout and trauma. And that's just a fact. So recognize that, okay? And that's whether it's race, gender, whatever that is, you can be more prone to burnout and trauma, okay? So let's look at our last box, which says trauma informed. I gave you one box there. And can you go back a couple slides to the list? And think about which one of these do you need to focus on the most? Which one of these in regard to your professional self-care do you need to focus on the most?